Really excited again today because we're doing the second beer from Polly's new core range. This now is an IPA called Rosebud. Great can artwork, but can it be as good as the Pale Ale Floret? Well, that was cracking beer. Keep on watching to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Yes, today we're going to be continuing in our Polly's week of cracking beers, because Polly's make cracking beers. And this is the second beer from their core range. So this is their IPA called Rosebud, 5.9%, quite low, certainly for Polly's in terms of their IPAs, because some of their sort of double dry hop pales are around about this sort of level. Lovely can artwork, you know, similar to the Floret, lots of flowers. And this is obviously an IPA, and we're expecting it to be a New England because it's pretty much what they make. Citra, Galaxy, Mosaic, and Simcoe, and as I say, 5.9%. This is again, I bought this for about just over £4, but you can get this for under £4 if you buy it directly from Polly. So for an IPA, that's pretty good value, and that's, you know, in my opinion, that's in line with a lot of the supermarket beers. So let's see if it's going to be better than the supermarket beers, and whether it's going to be as good as the core Pale Ale, which was a really great beer. So let's get this beer into my IPA glass and see what it's all about. Yeah, I mean, similar to the Floret, lovely yellowy custardy colour. You can see a lot of carbonation moving up there, so I'm expecting that to move pretty fast, settle and become, you know, give it a nice soft mouthfeel. We've got, what, 3 fingers of head there? Pretty compacted. Let's see what the aroma's like. Well, I'm quite surprised because the Pale Ale had a really nice aroma as soon as you open the can, but this one's a little bit, I can hardly smell anything. There's a sort of slight tropicalness to it, but it's not going to win awards for its aroma. Hopefully it tastes better than it smells. Cheers, everyone. There's a lot of... First, let's go for the mouthfeel is ultra soft, really soft. It's so easy to drink. I thought I'd just take a little sip of that, but I've actually taken quite a big sip. Really smooth. There's a lot of the tropical sort of flavours in there. Mango, papaya. Not really pineapple, but we're getting... There's a little bit more in terms of citrus, lemons. Certainly a little bit of grapefruit in there as well. Let's have another go. It tastes a little bit, I don't know. I mean, the mouthfeel is a treat of it. Grapefruit, there's some other flavour in there. I think it's lychee, but the grapefruit in this is certainly more pronounced. There wasn't much grapefruit in the Pale Ale. There's definitely a bit more grapefruit in this. But the thing is about this beer is it's so soft. There's lots of really nice flavours in there. But it's a little bit more earthy, a little bit more... it's not as bright, you know. I'm not saying it's dull, the opposite of bright, but it's... the flavours take a little while to really sort of set in your mouth. The grapefruit is starting to come out, and it's more like a pink grapefruit than a normal grapefruit. There's not any bitterness in this beer. It's soft. I wouldn't call it creamy, but it's definitely, yeah. I mean, the more it sort of sits in the mouth, it's starting to develop. And I have left this one out a little bit. I didn't drink it straight from the fridge today. I've given it half an hour. Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at it, we've got Galaxy and Mosaic and Simcoe, and I just think that they're the sort of hops that give it a little bit more earthiness, a little bit more grassiness. I wouldn't say it was overly grassy, you know, in terms of a lot of some IPAs, certainly double IPAs. But there's a little element of grassiness in this beer. but 5.9%, it's a lower end, and it's really easy for an IPA. And it's obviously, this is a core IPA, so you want it to be easy drinking. You want it to be consistently good. And although it doesn't elevate itself amongst all the massively great IPAs that we drink on this channel, it's certainly helped by its nice softness, big hits of mango and papaya on the front, and then there's a nice sort of sweetness and a little bit of, and a sort of pink grapefruit, that sort of slightly sharp but slightly sweeter grapefruit flavour. It's really nice, but I have tasted better IPAs. But the thing is with this one is it's just going to go down really well. Make it easy to drink. Another great beer from Polly's. Let's get some scores. Okay, the scores are in for the Polly's core IPA called Rosebud, coming at 5.9%. This has got Citra, Galaxy, Mosaic and Simcoe. A lot of the big hitters when it comes to New England IPAs. Nice artwork as well, we'll say about that. But let's go through those scores. So firstly, aroma. Well, when I first sort of poured it out, I wasn't getting huge amounts of aroma. As it sort of sat now in the glass, and I'm getting sort of nice mango, papaya sort of aromas. There's a little bit more earthiness to the aromas on this. They're not as bright as, say, the Pale Ale was, but it's smells better now than it did when I first opened it. But there's nothing amazing about it, so I'm giving it 12 for aroma. Appearance, well, again, nice. You've got a layer of frothy head there. Okay, it's a little sliver, but it's still retained. Nice lace in the glass. It's a lovely yellow, really hazy beer. It's exactly what you want from an IPA. 8 out of 10 for appearance. Flavour wise, well, like any good IPA, I always find that the flavour develops as you drink it a little bit. When you first open it and you drink it, sometimes the flavours are a little bit confusing, but certainly I'm getting more flavour in it, and there's a lot of flavour and juice for a 5.9%, which is quite low on the IPA scale. Soft mouthfeel makes it really easy to drink. It's a core beer, so you want to make it easy to drink. You're getting big hits of mango. You're getting papaya in there. And then you're getting citrus fruits, but there's an element of grassiness in there. And there's also, on the back end, you're getting a sort of bit of a hit of grapefruit, but it's much more that sweeter pink grapefruit, which I really like. And I find that, the more I drink it, the more I like it in some extent. Which I think, again, with IPAs, I think they always develop better. I don't like drinking IPAs where some people won't even put the IPAs in a fridge. They'll just keep them in a cold cupboard. So they're almost like just a bit cooler than room temperature. I like them in the fridge, take them out, maybe half an hour, 20 minutes. But to be honest, since I've had it in the glass, 5 or 10 minutes, it's got better than when I first poured it. So flavour-wise is good. I've definitely had better IPAs. But for a core IPA, I think it's pretty much hits the mark. It doesn't go off into one direction or another. It's just a solid, tropical, nice and soft, easy drinking IPA. So I'm giving it 33 for flavour. Value for money, well, as I said, I paid a little bit over £4, which is still pretty good value for money for an IPA. But you can get it for like under £4, £3.60 or something like that, which is pretty much on par with supermarket beers. And I think I'd rather pay that money for a beer directly from Polly's than a lot of supermarket. There are a couple of supermarket beers that I think are a little bit better in terms of IPAs. Certainly ones from Northern Monk, North Brewing as well. But generally speaking, I think that this is a very good, great value for money beer. So I'm giving it 9 for value. And my overall experience, well, I think after I was spoiled a little bit by the Pale Ale, where you think, that just had a little bit more flavour and a little bit more going for it. It was brighter, it was more refreshing, it was a little bit fruitier, with a sort of not as sort of smooth mouthfeel as this, but still close to it. And I would prefer, if I was drinking 4 or 5 beers of the same beer, which I very rarely do, I would rather drink the Pale Ale than I would this beer, this IPA at 5.9%. I'd probably, and thank myself for it later as well, because I'd probably still be able to talk in some sort of coherent way. But it's still a very good IPA. And as for a core IPA, I think it's brilliant, actually. So I'm giving it, my overall experience, 13. I think that I will buy this again because it's a core range, it's good value. And I love Polly's. And I'm thinking that because they've got this core range, I'm going to probably buy a selection of Polly's beers for Christmas time, because they're my local brewery, and they're consistently good. And they've got some real great, they've got some New Zealand beers, which I'm really excited about as well, because they don't really do much stuff with New Zealand hops, but they're just starting to do that now. So I'm losing my train of thought. 13 for overall experience. It's a good beer. We topped the scores up, 75, which I think is a pretty fair score, because it's a recommended, mid-range recommended beer. Let's face it, if you want to buy a beer that's like, reasonably priced, consistent, and just a nice drinking beer, you go a lot worse than this. Certainly in the supermarkets, you'd pay the same sort of price, and it's a little bit hit and miss. This is a good beer, but in terms of Polly's, with their high standards, not quite up there, I don't think. But 75, still a cracking score. So, I hope you've enjoyed video number 2 from the Polly's showcase this week. That's the 2 core beers that we've drank. Now we're going to go a little bit more experiment, a little bit sort of off-piste, as it were, when it comes to other Polly's beers. I mean, as I say, check the Polly's website, because they've got new beers. They've got a New Zealand IPA. They've got a New Zealand Pale Ale, which they've never done. Nelson Sauvin is the hops that they're using. They've never really used those sort of hops before. And if you like bitter, they've got a best bitter. I mean, this is it. They're not scared of doing different stuff. As much as they are very good on their Pale Ales and their double dry hop Pale Ales and their IPAs, and much more on the New England style, they do West Coast stuff. They do sours. They do wheat beers. They've even done the odd stout. But they're really up there. I think I really enjoy what they do, and I'm always interested to see what they come next. So that's enough for me for one day. And until the next one, keep on rocking.